Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ailal Pisobore. So for today, remember, we are still under information literacy. We are still on it. Okay, we are just delving into information literacy, getting to know more. So today we are going to talk about like the primary information sources, like where we get from our information and all that. So I may not follow so much like they were doing in the other lecture where we had like the display of work on the screen, but then at least I'll just be explaining all that as you understand, but then you can just have this on information literacy so that we can know what we are talking about. So like when we explain, we know primary information sources are original materials that provide first-hand information or direct evidence about a topic, event, or phenomenon. Like, you know, the market that these materials, like, let's say, for example, newspapers, what, and all that. And of course, okay, they are typically created at a time or an event or shortly after and offer a unique perspective of insight. You know, like if I say that they are created at a time, let's say for example a newspaper, and then something has happened, then the newspaper is created immediately and all that, and then it gives us that primary information of what's happening. Let's say for example, apart from newspaper, we have diaries and letters, we have original research data, we have interviews and oral histories, we have photographs and videos, newspapers, of course, that I had it, articles and broadcasts. Then we have government documents and records. But then when you talk of diaries and letter, like these are personal accounts written by individuals who experience an event or phenomenon. Let's say for example I have my diary and then there's something that's happening to me, and then I make sure I keep information about myself in it, which it's still information trust because it has everything like about, it has most information about me that's kept into it. Then original like research data, this is raw data collected through experiments, surveys, or observations. Let's say for example last year in 2024 where we had census, and then that information it was being collected in different districts, like the number of people in the districts and all that, that census which is put together, we see it as original research data. Like it's a survey. It was a survey where we see there like the government was looking forward to knowing the number of people in the country and all that. Yeah, that and also, and then interviews and oral history, like histories. It's for example you want a job and all that. Okay, first hand accounts from individuals with direct experience or knowledge. Let's say for example you've gone for a job interview, then they're asking you how many years experience do you have and all that, and then you're giving. It's also a way of seeking information from you about like how best do you know that job and all that. And of course all this lies under the primary information sources, like where we get from our information and all that. Then we see photographs and videos. We're in a world of technology where people have phones and all that. You keep taking photos, which you keep, it's also first-hand information about yourself, like, you know, so that maybe in the future you'll need these photos or videos. It may be purposely for fun, entertainment, but then something else. Maybe it can be evidence. For example, there's something that has happened, but then you need evidence to show that, let's say for example an accident happened in this particular place, but then you're telling someone who isn't at that place, and the person asks you, I want evidence, like to know that truly the accident happened, but then you took photos and all that. So it's a primary information, like where someone gets from the information of what happened. And then the newspapers and articles, that one we know so well, like we have all been seeing newspapers. So it tells us about past and present and every, like all those things. So we get to know what's happening through the newspapers and the articles and like broadcasts, but those ones are temporary reports of events, like something has happened now, and then we get to know everything. Then we see government documents and records. These are official documents such as reports, policies, and like statistics. Again, we can put the example of census where it was a government document and record. And then let's say for example this recruitment of the army forces, like army, prisons, police and all that, where they are recruited, but then we have to make sure that we have, okay, the government want to make sure that it keeps some information about those people. That's why we can see maybe in the process of recruitment they ask them to bring their documents to make sure you're Ugandan, you have your national ID and all that. Then the government takes in your like your NIN number, what and all that, and then by the time your name comes out that you're supposed to go into training school and all that, your names, like your credentials and all that, are like kept by the government until by the time you get done, you're done with your years of service, and then you're supposed to get your pension and all that because you've worked for the government. They follow back the records and then follow whether you're the exact person, have you worked and all that. So it's also like primary, like of getting information, like it's information about that person is supposed to get the pension. Then we have creative works, where we have original artworks, literature, music, or other creative expressions. This is where we see like literature, we see the novels, the plays, the poems and all that. Like for example, I may have a novel bit of any book, but then I have a clue of what happened in that book. Maybe let's say for example there's this book, Test of the D'Urbervilles. It's a book that happened for like, okay, what's in the book happened far way back behind, but then because it's information that has been kept, like I have like the people in the past have read it, then us in the present we are reading it, then the answer will be there in the future. The generations to come will also get that book, and then they'll have information about what happened to the characters in that particular book and all that. They'll get to learn much about it. Of course, you know that these primary sources are valuable for research and analysis because they provide authenticity. This is direct evidence from the time period or event. Let's say for example, like now for the books, like for example the novels, whereby there's evidence of what happened, like the authenticity is so direct, like we already have like how themes exploit, how characters and all that, like how the plot comes up, so we get to know what happened in the past in that book and everything. Then of course we see now in newspapers where there is direct evidence, we even see photos accompanied with what they're telling us about. Then of course these primary sources are valuable for research and analysis, okay, because they provide uniqueness, like original perspectives and insights. Like it's so unique, you get to learn a lot. Then we have accuracy, of course, first-hand information, reducing the task of secondary interpretation or biasness. Like we know so well that we get into first-hand information from all these things, like the photographs, of course that one is so true and all that. We look at interviews where you're supposed to have first hand, like the creative works, government documents and all that. Because you know, like by using primary sources, researchers and analysts can gain a deeper understanding of historical events, cultural contexts and complex phenomena. Like all this, it makes us gain more, to know more information of what we're particularly talking about and all that. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Remain Ilal Peace Obure. Thank you so much. Let's meet in the next videos as we get to learn more about information literacy. Thank you.